And welcome to the Knowing Show. I am your host, Christene Marie. I am eager to dive into today's lesson, but before I do, I just want to share with you all the reminder that frankly, it really is just such a privilege that we get to gather every single morning, every single day, and remind ourselves of what is true. So much of spirituality, so much of growth in these different areas of the human intelligence, whether it's intellectual, emotional, spiritual, or physical, are usually very segmented to one area and compartmentalized to another. And so to be able to sit here and really kind of bring it all together and explore how does the cognitive mind touch spirituality and how does our emotional state actually relate to our physical body. It's such a privilege, and it is such a worthy pursuit. Our relationships are better as a result. Our businesses, because so much of leadership is relational, they're better as a result. But then also we're living as more integrated whole human beings. We're no longer operating from this place of kind of disparate parts. Sometimes we show up in one way, sometimes we show up in another. And so this is just such an incredible opportunity for us to really be able to bring back more unity and wholeness into ourselves. The other day, I wasn't planning to share this, but I wanted to. The other day, I was looking up this biblical concept, which is to cast your care on God. And I looked up the Greek word for care. And that word care, and it means worry, and it actually means division. So when we start getting worried and anxious and starting to really kind of get caught up in things on a cognitive level, but also an emotional level, it actually leads to us being kind of split off from the whole. So this time every single day to get really clear about who am I, whose am I, and why am I, and taking time to remember what is true brings us back into the word that I love to use is alignment. It's bringing my thoughts, my mind, my heart, my soul, my body and spirit into alignment under the hierarchy of, well, who do I want to be? How do I want to show up every single day? And ultimately, who was I created to be? Rather than all of these kind of parts of me operating in isolation and not working as one strong, rooted, grounded, whole person. And that concept of alignment brings all of it into congruence rather than having them all kind of be disparate. And y'all, when we've got our mind and heart and soul and body in congruence, there's a lot of power we can make in and change we can make in the world. And so that's why we're here this morning, is to cultivate the human intelligence, bring us into congruence so that when we interact with the world around us, we make such an impact. We can love well, we can be reliable, we can be dependable in the way that we show up, but ultimately we can, at the end of our lives, look back on the life that we lived with pride. And so for all of those reasons, welcome to the Knowing Show. Let's go ahead and get started. We are wrapping up. Today's our last day of our review section for just the last, I think it's been the last 10 days we've been in this review season. So I'm going to go ahead and just do a couple lessons reviewing to where we find ourselves today. And we're going to be actually reviewing lesson 140. But just a quick kind of preamble. Lesson 130, it is impossible to see two worlds. Lesson 131, no one can fail who seeks to reach the truth. Lesson 132, I loose the world from all I thought it was. Lesson 133, I will not value what is valueless. Lesson 134, let me perceive forgiveness as it is. Lesson 135, if I defend myself, I am attacked. Lesson 136, sickness is a defense against the truth. Lesson 137, when I am healed, I am not healed alone. Lesson 138, heaven is the decision I must make. Lesson 139, I will accept atonement for myself. And lesson 140, only salvation can be said to cure. Cure is a word that cannot be applied to any remedy the world accepts as beneficial. What the world perceives as therapeutic is but what will make the body better. When it tries to heal the mind, it sees no separation from the body where it thinks the mind exists. Its forms of healing thus must substitute illusion for illusion. One belief in sickness takes another form, and so the patient now perceives himself as well. He is not healed. He merely had a dream that he was sick, and in the dream, he found a magic formula to make him well. Yet he was not awakened from the dream, and so his mind remains exactly as it was before. He has not seen the light that would awaken him and end the dream. What difference does the content of a dream make in reality? One either sleeps or wakens, there is nothing in between. The happy dreams the Holy Spirit brings are different from the dreaming of the world, where one can merely dream he is awake. The dream's forgiveness lets the mind perceive do not induce another form of sleep so that the dreamer dreams another dream. His happy dreams are heralds of the dawn of truth upon the mind. They lead from sleep to gentle waking so that dreams are gone, and thus they cure for all eternity. Atonement heals with certainty and cures all sickness. For the mind which understands that sickness can be nothing but a dream is not deceived by forms the dream may take. Sickness, where guilt is absent, cannot come, for it is but another form of guilt. Atonement does not heal the sick, for that is not a cure. It takes away the guilt that makes the sickness impossible, and that is cure indeed. For sickness now is gone, with nothing left to which it can return. Peace be to you, who have been cured in God and not in idle dreams. For cure must come from holiness, and holiness cannot be found where sin is cherished. God abides in holy temples. He is barred where sin has entered. Yet there is no place where he is not, and therefore sin can have no home in which to hide from his benefits. There is no place where holiness is not, and nowhere sin and sickness can abide. This is the thought that cures. It does not make distinctions among unrealities, nor does it seek to heal what is not sick, unmindful where the need for healing is. This is no magic. It is merely an appeal to truth, which cannot fail to heal and heal forever. It is not a thought that judges an illusion by its size, its seeming gravity, or anything that is related to the form it takes. It merely focuses on what it knows and knows that no illusion can be real. Let us not try today to seek to cure what cannot suffer sickness. Healing must be sought, but where it is, and then applied to what is sick, so that it can be cured. There is no remedy the world provides that can effect a change in anything. The mind that brings illusions to the truth is really changed. There is no change but this. For how can one illusion differ from another but in attributes that have no substance, no reality, no core, and nothing that is truly different? Today we seek to change our minds about the source of sickness, for we seek a cure for all illusions, not another shift among them. We will try today to find the source of healing, which is in our minds, because our Father placed it there for us. It is not farther from us than ourselves. It is as near to us as our own thoughts, so close it is impossible to lose. We need but seek it, and it must be found. We will not be misled today by what appears to us as sick. We go beyond appearances today and reach the source of healing from which nothing is exempt. We will succeed to the extent to which we realize that there never can be a meaningful distinction made between what is untrue and equally untrue. Here, there are no degrees and no beliefs that what does not exist is truer in some forms than others. All of them are false and can be cured because they are not true. So do we lay aside our amulets, our charms and medicines, our chants and bits of magic in whatever form they take. We will be still and listen for the voice of healing, which will cure all ills as one, restoring sameness to the Son of God. No voice but this one can cure. Today we hear a single voice which speaks to us of truth, where all illusions end and peace returns to the eternal quiet home of God. We waken hearing him and let him speak to us 5 minutes as the day begins, and at the end by listening again 5 minutes before we go to sleep. Our only preparation is to let our interfering thoughts be laid aside, not separately, but not all of them as one. They are all the same. We have no need to make them different and thus delay the time when we can hear our Father speak to us. We hear him now. We come to him today. With nothing in our hands to which we cling, with lifted hearts and listening minds we pray. Only salvation can be said to cure. Speak to us, Father, that we may be healed. And we will feel salvation cover us with soft protection and with peace so deep that no illusion can disturb our minds, nor offer proof to us that it is real. This will we learn today. And we will say our prayer for healing hourly and take a minute as the hour strikes to hear the answer to our prayer be given us as we attend in silence and in joy. This is the day when healing comes to us. This is the day when separation ends and we remember who we really are. I love that. I love this. This is the day when separation ends and we remember who we really are. Y'all, we cannot live in this kind of alignment if we do not remember who we are. Just yesterday, I was mentioning actually on LinkedIn to somebody. We were commenting on yesterday's video on LinkedIn from our daily lesson yesterday, and I just mentioned, remembering. That concept of remembering has really been on my mind over the last couple of weeks, particularly, where we are remembering who we were created to be. We are remembering who we were before the rest of the world told us who to be. When Michelangelo was asked, "How did you create David?" He said, "Well, I removed who David was not." So, a lot of times, in order for us to truly recover the integrity of our authentic selves, it's actually a removing process of the layers of the excess, but also a remembering process. And we have to, in order to remember, remove the layers to get to the core. I think about just these moments, and there are folks who have been through trauma at very, very young ages. And so the question is, I suppose, can you remember times when you actually were feeling safe? Because when we feel safe, that so often is actually when we are then free. It's if we're not feeling safe emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually safe, even, we're not going to be able to really truly show up in the integrity and authentic self that we were created to be at the inception of our life. And so much of this is remembering and returning to who we were created to be through the process of elimination. But I want to just kind of remind us of terms here. So we talk about sickness. She has defined sickness as akin to separation. Sickness is the kind of the thing that holds other people at bay. It's the stiff arming. It's the people don't understand me. I am fundamentally alone in the world. I will be in isolation as a result of this. And it cuts us off. It cuts us off. Here's the thing that's so interesting that I didn't even think about until now. We talk about identity here on the show. We talk about we've got these two parts of our identity that the amalgamation of them is what constitutes you and me. Identity A is effectively the part of us that is universally shared. It's a part of us where God says we are loved, we belong, we are sharing this kind of identity that is God in us, Christ in us, and we have access to this that is holy and beautiful and pure and unadulterated. We will always be loved should we so choose to walk in that identity. And so that love, that type of worthiness just inherently in you and me is in every single person, and forever that tethers us to each other. We are sons and daughters of God. We are created in his image. We are actually bearing his likeness. So that's identity A. Identity B is the unique, highly differentiated aspects that make up you and me and ultimately make us different. And so this concept of sickness is to put over an overemphasis on the separation, on what makes us different, and we forget the other part of our identity. And so when we talk about sickness, like sickness almost like of the mind, it really, really is, because we're actually fundamentally believing something that is not true, because it's missing out on another piece of truth, or it's only looking at one part of the identity or not. And so what the kind of the argument here is one, if you're not believing the capital T truth of what God says about you in totality, you're not believing truth at all. It's not just, well, it's kind of true, well, it's a little bit true. It's like, no, you're actually, we're not seeing it. We're not looking through the lens of God. And therefore we're actually walking in an illusion. We're not walking in the reality of the truth. And so rather than trying to be like, well, let me figure out what little bits of truth I am believing. It's like, well, let's just recover the full truth of who he says that we are. Because in there, like therein lies freedom. On the other side of being able to be on the other side of being able to walk in our identity and walk in the authenticity of who we were created to be is freedom. And so I want to read here this one section. Atonement heals with certainty and cures all sickness. Sickness, again, it's separation. For the mind, which understands that sickness can be nothing but a dream, is not deceived by forms the dream may take. Sickness, where guilt is absent, cannot come, for it is but another form of guilt. Atonement does not heal the sick, for that is not a cure. It takes away the guilt and makes the sickness impossible. So it's so interesting, and I love this. Frankly, it adds this whole other layer here, where it's not about atonement coming in and being the healer towards separation. We were never separated to begin with. Like, that's the thing that's so interesting, is that this is why she calls it an illusion, because never have we ever been separated from each other nor God, because that element of our identity doesn't change just because we don't know it. We just don't know. We just don't remember. We just aren't recalling. We're not returning to it. We're not reclaiming it. We're not walking in the power of it. So just because we're not acting accordingly does not alter the fact that it is true. And so we are either living in the truth of our identity, of who God says that we are, of who we were uniquely created to be, or we're living in the illusion of all that we are not. And so just because we're living in the illusion does not alter the reality of the truth. So really what atonement does is that it takes away the very thing that separates us from having access to it in the first place. It doesn't come in and like cure the illusion. It just helps remove the separation from access to the truth. And so much of what she's saying here is that guilt can actually be the thing that keeps us from being able to kind of walk in unity and walk in wholeness and in the freedom that our identity brings. I want to go down to this one other part because it was so wise. Today we seek to change our minds about the source of sickness, for we seek a cure from all illusions, not another shift among them. We will try today to find the source of healing, which is in our minds because our Father placed it there for us. It is not farther from us than ourselves. It is as near to us as our own thoughts, so close it is impossible to lose. We need but seek it, and it must be found. So this is what's so cool, is that we do not need to go searching out there. You know, so much of my life, so much of what I learned growing up in a very kind of fundamentalist Christian environment was that I in here who I am inherently is evil. And this narrative flips completely on its head when we start realizing, oh no, man, I'm actually made in the image of God and God abides in me. And so, this concept of Christ in you, of the Holy Spirit in you and me, the part of God that allows for us to be like Him, it's within our grasp. It's right here, right now. It's just this shift of thoughts. It's the examining. We talk about this before on the Knowing Show. It's taking a thought, taking an emotion, analyzing it and saying, is this true? Is this the reality of, I guess, the reality of the capital T truth of what's more true than how I'm feeling or thinking right now? And then I get to choose. In that moment, we get to choose. Am I going to adhere to this thought or to this emotion? And is it going to have power over me? Or am I going to choose something else? And so in that moment, yes, Wayne, I just saw I am in you and I am on you. I will send you, I'm all around you, the love of God. It's I am the vine, you are the branches. It's that we are having the opportunity to be made and existing in and with the presence of God. We don't need to go and out there to go find it. And this is where, I think that actually it's kind of terrifying for the religious folks because it's like, oh no, they don't need us anymore. And I think that's a real scarcity mindset. Actually, if Christ is in us, that actually propels us to then go love all the more and go spend time with each other all the more. We don't need a church. We don't need a synagogue. We don't need a mosque to go encounter God. He is literally in us. And what that does is that now changes the purpose of the church. Now the church becomes a place where, yes, you'll experience the presence of God, but now you've got all these whole, healthy, loved people coming in, where now you can also welcome all the people who are not feeling loved. And now church is a haven and the sanctuary, and it becomes this place of giving rather than just going to receive, because I'm already filled up. I've already received. I now can go to a church and actually give because I'm already filled up, that I've actually got overflow to hand off and share to those around us. Y'all imagine if these religious institutions were places of real respite and a haven for hurting souls. My uncle passed away this week on my dad's side. And y'all, I remember during our greatest grief as a family when my brother-in-law was killed, a church was the last place I wanted to go because it didn't feel like a place of respite and refuge. It felt like a place of judgment. And that was my experience at the time. And at the same time, I think that we get to change that narrative. We get to change that experience for so many people who have like church hurt and have hurt from God, like spiritual hurt. This is the thing that's so interesting about the human cultivation of the human intelligence, is that we've got intellectual, emotional, spiritual, and physical intelligences. And so sometimes we've got trauma in any or one or more than, multiple categories. A lot of people have spiritual trauma. And so if we're not taking the time to heal that in and of ourselves and recognize what's kind of missing or what's needing some attention, we're not going to be able to give from that place. Y'all, we have the ability to be whole, well functioning individuals. We don't need to be sitting here waiting for anything, any magical potion from a church or a religious institution. We have access to that now, so that now we can go into those places and maybe we actually get to bring the love and power of God. We can, and beyond the religious institutions, it's to our business, it's to the Starbucks down the street on the corner. It's at the gas station. It's any place we are. We are ushering in the presence based on the knowledge of our identity. Are we walking in the truth of who God says that we are? Or are we walking in the illusion that's based in fear of what other people are going to think, of not being enough because we don't know who we are to begin with? But this lesson for today just so beautifully touches on that. This is the day when separation ends and we remember who we really are. We are one, which is just the coolest thing. I'm just going to jump here in the chat. Wayne, I'm so glad to see you. Brian, I'm so glad you're here. It's been making me so happy to see your name back. American Redneck, good morning. I'm glad to see you. Danish, good morning. B5, hello. Thank you so much for joining. Comic Book Fusion, good morning. Ken, good morning. Bobby. Steve, oh, I love that. Be still and know. I love, love, love that verse. Virgin, good morning. Stephen, thank you so much for joining. It takes a great deal of honesty to peel back the layers. Isn't that so, so true? I just got chills thinking about that. It's probably one of the hardest things I think we can ever do. Oh my gosh. Y'all, thank you so much for joining. I'm sorry I need to jump off. I'm going to go spend some time with my dad. I flew in to be with him and my family this weekend. So I'm going to jump off, but it was really wonderful to be with you this morning. Remember today's lesson: only salvation can be said to cure. And we get to choose between salvation and separation, but salvation is always ours, whether we choose to walk in it or not. So have a wonderful day, friends. I will see you tomorrow. I'm planning for 11 a.m. Eastern, but it might be a little bit earlier or later. I'm not sure. I'm kind of playing this whole weekend by ear. So